Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Cincinnati Reds roster and seeing, their 2018 roster and seeing what they can do to improve that roster. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so the first thing I do is move one of their starting pitchers. Not one of them, but two of them I have in mind are Homer Bailey, he's a right-hander, and also a right-hander is Anthony DeStefano. Homer, he's getting old. I think he's proved that he's not going to do much for the Reds. He's a big contract that they need to dump so that they can sign more players that have more potential. And you know the drill. He's just shown that he can't do a lot of things. He hasn't really been good at the major league level since his prime, which was like how many years ago. The Reds don't have a lot of belief in him. I don't know why. He just needs to be dumped because he's been injured a lot. And he just really hasn't done a lot to help the franchise out, even with being paid this big-ass contract that he has. And on the DeStefano side, he was looked at to be an ace in the rotation. He hasn't been an ace. He's been kind of mediocre. The expectations the Reds had for him are a bit big, yes, I do admit. But he's also a pretty decently sized salary that the Reds, I feel, need to move so that they can sign better players and get more people into the system. I wouldn't release them. I'd try and get something for them, like maybe let's say Noah Syndergaard, and then the Reds can call up one of their pitching prospects out of AAA that really deserves it. Or when one of the starting pitchers that comes off the DL, you can just put him in that slot, and you can have somebody from the Louisville Bats just as a placeholder until that DL person does come back. I'd throw those guys into a trade, at least try and get something for him if they aren't able to do it. What I do is I just release them into free agency. They haven't really done much. They're a big ass cap, and it's kind of sad to see them not producing that they're supposed to. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Homer hasn't lived up to his contract, which he never should have been signed to in the first place. That was just a really bad contract on the Reds' end. And DeStefano, he's just not been up to the expectations. So, call up somebody from AAA, and try and get something for them. I'd trade them away. Maybe try and get Noah Syndergaard. Right now, prospects I would not consider playing are Nick Senzel, and they're all pictured up there. Nick Senzel, Josiah Gray, Jose Ziri, Hunter Green, Taylor Trammell, Shed Long, and the newly signed Jonathan India. These are prospects. I believe that the Reds do have a pretty decent prospect pool, but you can never have too many amazing prospects in that pipeline because you never know when you're going to need to call one up. And these guys all need to be, have some development years in them. And I'd also not consider, I would maybe in some circumstances consider trading the catcher Tyler Stephenson. I'd consider trading him in a special one, and Robert Stephenson, the Stephenson brothers, the pitcher and the catcher, in special circumstances. That's all. That's literally all I trade them. Guys I would not consider on the Reds roster are Adam Duvall, Scooter Gennett, Matt Harvey, Tucker Barnhart, Billy Hamilton, Scott Schebler, Jesse Winker. Yeah, I would trade him in special circumstances. Suarez, okay, yes, he may need to be ousted so that Senzel can get up and they can develop India, and then India can take over at that third base position, and you can move Senzel to second base or shortstop. He's been getting in time at shortstop, but he can also play second base pretty well. So, and then you can, and then that's Senzel thing. Okay, yes, we're gonna try and keep Jeanette for all we can. And if we do keep him when Senzel needs to be moved, okay, so he can give Jeanette some days off, and then okay, he might need to go too, so that Senzel can get some time in at shortstop, and then Shed Long can also be, he might be up a little bit sooner than India is, but Shed Long can just be like that, like right there for you. Those are guys that I would not consider trading. Anyone else is pretty much fair game, other than Joey Votto. I wouldn't consider him, which I don't think the Reds would ever consider trading him. He's like their like little Canadian like centerpiece of the roster. Okay, so let's look at some guys that the Reds can bring in. Okay, so for right now, for at least the next 2 years, or at least 1 year. I don't remember if it's 1 or 2 years left on this, but they cannot sign anyone over like $30,000, and like all the guys they sign have to add up to those $30,000 because of a penalty that MLB posed on them, because I believe it was Bailey's contract went over their cap bonus thing. I don't remember what it's actually called. I'll put a picture of screenshots in here when I'm done talking here. So the Reds don't really have that many Dominican guys. Well, you can probably get them cheap, but not like quality Dominican guys. And I'm not saying that Dominican guys are like cheap to get. I'm saying like because of how bad the situation is, from what I understand, in the Dominican Republic, is you could probably get them for a lesser cost than you can, say, let's somebody Canadian or something. You can probably like get them over here, and you can increase their salary as they get better. No knock on Dominican guys, they're amazing. Just look at how many guys from the Dominican Republic are in the MLB. It's just that. Okay, let's get off that topic. Okay, so the Reds, they would need to bring in some prospects. Okay, yes, they're draft prospects. That's a good start. But you also need to bring in some prospects from international leagues, which they can't really do right now. Maybe in the future, they could sign some guys and bring them up. And Jose Siri and Shed Long are already on the 40-man roster. I'd also add Senzel to that 40-man roster. But you might want to call Siri up, and you might want to call Shed Long up when you do get a second baseman to get rid of, because that will give them some opportunity to show you what they got and what they can bring to your table. So yeah, that's what I do with them. Right now, I think the Reds should not be focused on adding to their MLB roster right now. I think that they should be focused on getting quality guys into their pipeline and developing them to become better, because that's ultimately what wins championships, having a good pipeline. Because we call guys up, they're quality guys, okay, great, they can play, they can take over at that base when somebody gets hurt for the year. You need like quality guys in that pipeline. And like the pitching in general has been horrendous. I believe that if you can get a pitching coach to settle those guys down and help them become better, then those Reds players will be better at pitching, because their pitching coach that they had is just horrendous. He hasn't trained them well. He hasn't done any good of a job that they have, which is why they fired him. But I think that their new pitching coach needs to step in and say, like, hey, you guys will be traded away or released if you guys do not meet this amount of innings and this amount of stuff, and work with them to develop their pitches and get like everything good. And if they do not develop to specifics, specifications like they need to do, I would, oust them, release them, trade them. First, I try and trade them to see if I could get, something for them. But then I just oust them, because it's not really fair if you oust a guy and they've done great. So you want to keep those guys that did great, and like continue developing the guys in the pipeline. But what I believe the Reds need to do in their rebuild is just keep developing their guys in the pipeline. Then when Green is ready, okay, great, he'll be their new ace. But I believe that right now, a good trade for the Reds would be trading away Bailey for a prospect, or DeStefano for a prospect, and trade, or you can involve them both, or just one in a trade to get Syndergaard, because they do need kind of that ace to go along with Harvey, because Harvey can't carry the whole load himself. Let's be honest here. and like call up a prospect until some of the guys get down from the IR, because you need those guys. But I believe what the Reds focus and what they should be focused on right now is physically developing them in the minors, then calling them up. They'll be ready and they'll be good, and like just making sure that they're ready for from the majors for the minors, because well, ready from them when they call up. What I'm trying to say is the Reds should be focused not on improving their team right now, but improving their pipeline by developing them and getting them ready in the minors for the MLB, because when you're in the majors, there's really no time to develop. There's like maybe a little bit of time to get some training in and develop every now and then. But you need to develop like mostly in there so that you can just like go do your job, advance and go. And the pitchers should be trained the same way, like develop, because I believe that part of the problem with MLB is they're not training their starting pitchers and all that stuff, right? Like, don't give up this amount. Like, I believe that MLB teams need to have specific qualifications for players in the minors to meet to move up, and those specifications will help get them ready little by little for the MLB play. And the Reds definitely need to do that with their pitchers. And well, all prospects should have some goals set for them by the team to develop, and that's what the Reds need to do. I wouldn't really have any trades per se right now, other than the Syndergaard one and trading away DeStefano and Bailey, not giving up the guys that I just said, because you should, in a rebuild situation like you should be focused not on trading people, but developing them. Because let's be honest, they gave that GM Dick Williams, he's now stepped down and just been the president of baseball operations, which he should be fired from that position. I'm not pulling any punches here. They can sue me all they want, but he should be fired. He did not do a good enough job to show me that he is qualified to do these, to kind of handle the player contracts. I would do a better job than him, because like I do my research on trades. He doesn't seem to do his research on those trades. He just wants to get rid of salaries and all that stuff to save his ass money. And you can't do that. You can't trade away Bruce when he's just heating up and doing good. Okay, so you're trading away all your sluggers. Okay, so maybe some of those trades did work out because you got Duvall and you got Schebler on your lineup, and those guys are absolutely dominating. But what about the guys that are doing better now that you traded them? Like, you could have had that. Maybe it's just a thing of where they are that they were able to get better. But when a player's just heating up like Bruce was, you don't trade him. Like, okay, so maybe that trade did work out a little bit, but at what cost to us at that moment? Because, okay, so I do try and look into the future, but trades like that, like, they just don't look good on you, because it shows that you're just thinking about, hey, maybe I should get rid of this player and save some money. And I'm just like, bro. Okay, so you're in a rebuild situation. I'm going to cut you some slack there. But you don't trade away players like that when you're in a rebuild. Okay, so you may let them go or something if they're not performing to your specifications. But do that in the off season, and like, don't extend players if they didn't do your specifications. But wait until the off season to make some of your moves, or at least the trade deadline to make some trades. But I think the Reds are doing what they need to do right now to be successful in the future, not the past. They have been successful in the past, but I believe that this rebuild with getting India and Senzel there, okay, great. We have some good bats in the system. We have good pitching with Josiah Gray and Robert Stephenson in that system, along with Hunter Green. We have some other good bats with Trammell, who can hit home runs for days. I wouldn't trade Stuart Fairchild. I didn't fit him in here, but I would not trade Stuart Fairchild either. Even though he's just starting out, he's been pretty good at outfield. We're loaded up at outfield. We don't really need that many good prospects in the outfield anymore. Like, we're kind of loaded up there. But it's not that bad of an idea to go into the Dominican Republic or Venezuela or something and try and get a good prospect in there. Because, let's be honest, like I said before, like, we're kind of loaded up there, but you can never have too many good outfielders in there. And that's okay, so if they ask for a trade them away. If you don't have room for them and you think that they're definitely ready and next season that they're going to be absolutely dominating and all that stuff, and you don't think that it's fair to leave them down there, but you don't have any room up here. Okay, yes, I get that trade, because then they can get some playing time up there, and it's, better for the player, because then they know they're ready. You know that you did something good, and you're not bumming them out or like hurting them, their egos or something like that, by keeping them down there too much. Okay, so it's not a bad idea to load up. It's just you need to know when to bring a guy up and when to trade him when he's ready, if you don't have room for him. Okay, so if you got some great players and prospects for trading Billy Hamilton, okay, it'd be open to that. Same thing with Duvall, but do not trade Jeanette or Schebler, because Schebler's bat is just heating up. Let's be honest here. Okay, so we have amazing outfielders in the system waiting. Okay, that's great. You're done great there. Now you need to focus on, hey, why is my pitching so sucky? Like, before you go forward with more outfielders, which you can never have too many in the system, I'd be looking after and getting quality pitchers into your system, because you can never actually have too many pitchers. Like, that's probably more important than outfielders. Then I'd go for catchers, because you're not too stacked up, you're not too not stacked up. It's like right below that middle ground of a good amount of prospect pitchers. You just try and stack up a little bit, like maybe 2 or 3 more, and you're gonna be golden. Okay, so that's really all they have to do in the catchers. Okay, so they may want to get 1 or 2 quality first basemen down there, because Votto is getting older. We can't ignore that. We can't ignore that at all. Votto is getting older, and it won't be fair to him if you have nobody to back him up when he's getting older and he retires finally. Which, if you train Senzel to go first base, okay, great, he can take over there. And if you do not have Duvall, because he's like our backup first baseman there. Okay, so if you trade away Duvall, like, you've just lost all first base hope for backup. That means I advocate, trading your third baseman and second baseman to also play first base. To play around the diamond more. Showing that they're more of a good player, and they know how to play more positions, and they can pick which one they're more comfortable in. And, you can use them as a backup when you have to, if they can play different positions. You can use them as a backup. Okay, that's great. You need to trade them. But I'd go to Senzel and be like, hey, can you get in some time at first base? Hey, go to India and being like, hey, can you also train first base? We kind of need somebody like that in the pipeline. I'd also go to, Shed Long and see, maybe if he can play some first base, too. Suarez, okay, maybe he can play some first base, maybe not. Let's see how it is in training camp. But, the pipeline is there. You just need to do the right training and get them in the right positions to be successful. Okay, so that's really all they have to do there. Now, here's the really bad part. If you have too many good prospects that are ready and the minors just waiting there, and you trade them all away, you need to know a good balance of trading good prospects that are ready away and keeping them in there. So if you trade too many away, you're right back where you started with no good prospects in that pipeline. So it's you have to do a balance of trading the players that are ready away and keeping some of those players in the system. And if they are ready and you want to keep them in the system, make sure to add them to your 40-man roster, so that if you need them at any time, the Reds aren't doing that with Senzel, which that's kind of stupid. Because if you need him, you can just call him right up, not have to send anyone on designated assignment. You can just call him up, and then when you don't need him, option him down. As long as he doesn't have 3 total options already done, you can call him up. Yeah, okay, nothing to it. The problems arise when you do have too many, though. But you just have to keep that good balance. I cannot advocate having good prospects in your pool more, and then also trading the guys away, but keeping a good balance of guys here versus trade away that are ready. And they're it's all about a balancing act, okay? So if you sign a guy and he's not showing any potential, and you keep him, okay? So try and keep him in those lower leagues so that he has time to get more training and developing. But if maybe after 4 or 5 years he hasn't shown more than maybe a few inches of developing I'd be like, hey, you aren't doing enough, so we're gonna have to part ways, get some more room in our system. Be like that, but the Reds are kind of doing what they need to do by stacking up that pipeline like they are. Well, I'd say that they're pretty good on first base, so, well, not first base, third base. So if they go third base next draft or they sign more quality third baseman, I'd be like, hey, what are you trying to do? Go make sure that Senzel and India don't really have a job when they come up here. Okay, so you may need one or two more third basemen. But don't make them like a first round picks kind of guys. Because you already have like a first round pick in Senzel and India there that are kind of like fighting for that third base position with Suarez, which you're kind of wondering. If they have Senzel in that prospect pool and they have India down now, what are they planning to do with Suarez? Because there's only a matter of time before those two guys both are ready and they're waiting to come up. And maybe Suarez is still here, maybe he's not. But you kind of need to, like, look like, wait, what are you doing with Suarez? Like, is he not part of your future plan? Because he is a great home run hitter. Maybe you would want to trade him away for, like, a good prospect at first base, or a good prospect, or, like, a future, like, or cash considerations. Because cash considerations, you can sign more guys with that, like, more quality guys. But right now, at the Reds, all that the Reds need to focus on is just getting good prospects in their pool. And if they're ready, calling them up. And if they don't have room up there, having a good balance of keeping guys down and trading them away. I think that's really all the Reds have to focus on right now. They've done great, and it's really up to the players to see if they win or lose, because I believe that they have a World Series team if they want to. But, okay, so maybe you may want to get 2 or 3 more pitchers, but definitely, like, shop Bailey and DeStefano around to see what you can get. If you can't, I wouldn't advise them to focus on the Bailey thing. That's just like a thing on the sidebar. Once you feel like you have a good amount of prospects, or it's the off season, be like, hey guys, this is not working out. We're gonna trade you here, or so you can't get anything worthwhile for them. Be like, hey, it's not working out between us. We're gonna release you and send you to free agency and see who wants you and who will pay for you, because your contract is not working out for us that much. Thank you for all you've done, and goodbye. That's all I have to say, but right now, the Reds only need to be focused on that prospect pool. That's my main focus for them right now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.